Jai Jai Shri Prabhupada. Text number 2, is that right? 2, 1, 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 68, text number 2, several verses, there's no purport. So today on the screen we have text 2, so we recite together. Kodavaha Kupitaha Uchuhu Durvinitaha Ayam Arbhakaha Kadati Kritya Naha Kanyam Akamam Aharat Balat Kaurava Kupita Uchur Davinitoyam Arbakaha Gadati Kritya Nakanyam Akama Maharad Balat Kaurava Kapita Uchur Durvinitoyam Arbakaha Kadati Kritya Nakanyam Akamam Aharad Balat Kaurava Kupita Uchur Durvinito Yamabakaha Kadati Kritya Nakanyam Akamam Aharad Balat. Kritya Nakanyam Akama Maharad Balat Inito Yamabakaha Kati Kritya Nakanyam Akama Maharad Balat. Any ladies? Kaurava Kupita Uchur Durvinito Yamabakaha Kadati Kritya Nakanyam Akama Maharad Balat. Kauravaha, the Kurus, Kupitaha, angered, Juhu said, Durvinitaha, ill-behaved, I am this, Arbhakaha, a boy, Gadati Kritya, insulting, Naha, us, Kanyam, the maiden, Akamam, unwilling, Aharat, has taken, Balat, by force. The angry Kurus said, this ill-behaved boy has offended us, forcibly kidnapping our unmarried daughter against her will. This was, of course, explained in the first verse how Samba had kidnapped Lakshmana, the daughter of Duryodhana, of all persons. And at the moment of her Swayamvara ceremony, where she was given the choice to select her groom from the great heroes that had assembled, but here in previous verse it's also mentioned that Samba was ever victorious in battle. Yes, he was a great fighter. And he made up his mind that he wanted to have the daughter of Duryodhana as his wife. So he didn't hang around. She didn't really want to have him as such. But he was determined to attain his objective. And in the previous verse we hear how Samba, his mother, Samba, Amba, meaning mother, who was very much his mother's son, Jambavati, the son of Jambavati. And pet son, usually somewhat spoiled. So he was used to getting what he wanted. When you're a spoiled son, and of course in India, that doesn't happen. The mothers usually, they really, what's the word, over their sons. They very strongly, in some ways, in the West we say they spoil their son. He does nothing. He just receives the love of his mother. Doesn't even know how to wash your clothes. Many young Indian boys, they don't know how to do anything practically in terms of simple, practical household affairs. Not every time, but often this is the case. They've never washed their clothes in their life. They've never cleaned the pots. They've never cleaned anything practically. Some would say that's because of a different culture, but spoiled. Their mother's pet son, always forgotten the word, but over her son. So Samba was a little bit like that. So whatever he wanted, he was used to getting it, right? Mother will provide it. Maybe the father would be a little bit more restrictive. He just go to his mother and get what they want. Spoiled son, I want this. So he wanted Lakshmana as his wife. So he didn't think that there's anything wrong in just going there and taking her. Of course, the Kauravas, as we see in this verse, didn't see it the same way. Though he was very valiant, as we hear in this chapter, and they were impressed. They were impressed. Let's go on. Banite mam duvinitam kim karishanti vrishnayaha yesmat prasado pachitang datang no bunjate mahim. Arrest this ill-behaved Samba. What will the Vrishnis do? By our grace they are ruling land that we have granted them. This is a interesting history also, of course, but interesting reaction. Not just because they're angry, is perhaps understandable, but the way they're expressing their anger here is typical of one who has overwhelmed with pride, the false concept that we are the proprietors. Krishna enacts pastimes and allows various events to unwind, to not just to punish, not just as a pastime, but also as a lesson to illustrate the conditioning that has to be changed if we want to actually attain Krishna consciousness. So we see here that the Kauravas, who does this person think he is, taking our property? It's mine. Last night one wonderful young man was asking the question about money and losing money. But we see in the case of Bali Maharaj, for instance, when Lord Vamanadev took away basically all of his so-called wealth, property, pretty much his fame, although he preserved that at the last moment to a large degree. But he took everything else away. But Bali Maharaj's reaction was not like that of the Kauravas. He was relieved. I don't know what we would feel. Sometimes we feel disturbed when things are taken away from us. But still, he had a feeling which was inappropriate. It's not just the external activities which are the deciding factor, we could say, in the quality of an individual's consciousness. But there's more to it. Bali Maharaj also, in a different way, had a tinge of pride. His pride was elucidated by his wife, Vindhyavali. When she came on the scene, he was in her humiliated condition, bound up, tied up, humiliated, lost everything. She chastised him, not like a normal wife would. A normal wife would chastise her husband. How could you do this? You've given everything away, you rascal. I don't even have one pair of shoes left. Not one sari. If I had a frying pan, I'd smash you on the head with it. But I don't even have a frying pan. You never consulted me, and you gave it all away. We saw what happened when Lord Shiva also in one sense, did a similar thing, and how Parvati reacted to him. It's natural that a wife may react in such a way. I'm your better half. But she didn't. She certainly chastised him, but she called him an agnostic fool. You're still the same fool that you were before, thinking that you own something. This is one of the primary, identifying ourselves with the body and thinking this is mine. These are the two basic illusions that we're in, amongst other things. She called him a fool number one. Prabhupada even uses the word damn fool. Absolute fool. Why? Because now you're thinking, and you're proud of it, that you have given everything away in charity, and you have fulfilled your promise. When will you realize the truth? You don't have anything to give. It was never yours in the first place. Oh, you're proud, and people glorify you for your sacrifice, you could say, of giving everything. But it was never yours to. How can you give something that doesn't belong to you? Of course, it's the duty of the family to protect the children, but in the real sense of the term, they don't belong to us. They belong to Krishna. We don't always see it like that. Lakshmana was the daughter of Duryodhana, at least as it appears, but ultimately she belongs to Krishna. So that's another lesson being taught here, not just the attitude which we may have, which is this possessive attitude, but also to understand the real proprietor. That Krishna is the proprietor of everything, including our own wife, our own family, our own everything. One time Srila Prabhupada was challenged by one man, probably in Bombay. Many of these things took place here in the 70s. I was looking around this morning. Other than 3 or 4 devotees from the Western Hemisphere who came with me, I couldn't see one white-skinned devotee in the temple room. I don't know if there is one, and there's 3 or 4 came with me. But in the 70s, you could hardly see 1 or 3 or 4 Indian devotees in the class. Now, and they're not from here. They're all traveling with us. 3, 4, 5 of them here. It's amazing. It's amazing how Krishna consciousness movement has spread here in India. In those days, there were not so many dedicated devotees from Indian birth. Huh? Now there are unlimited, becoming ever increasing, incredible credit to Srila Prabhupada. He wanted to preach very much in India. He said, my Guru Maharaj wanted to preach in the West, but my heart's desire was to preach in India. He wanted both. Fulfill his Guru Maharaj's desire. He sacrificed his life for that, you could say. But this is fulfilling the heart of Srila Prabhupada. It's very inspiring. Anyway, this man challenged Prabhupada, and as many people do, even an Indian man, that to your God, your Krishna, he's a debaucher. Huh? He's a debaucher. Amongst other things, he's even condoning things like this. Samba, his son of Jambavati and Krishna. Stealing, kidnapping against her will even, daughter of, just like we've been kidnapped, sometimes against our will. Srila Prabhupada, very tricky sometimes. But condoned. So many things you could say he steals. and steals other people's whatever properties. Many things people accuse Krishna of. Having affairs with the wives of others. Having so many wives. What type of God is this? God, 16,108 wives? What type of God is this? People question. Pretty far out God, isn't it? Somebody who can have 16,108 wives. Somebody here may be a grihasta. Any grihastas here? Any grihastas? One or two, they're too busy. Only 2 hands went up. Isn't that incredible? Some of you will become, probably. You have 16,000 wives? Maybe you'd like to have 16,000 wives in one sense, as long as you don't have to look after them. Our idea is to enjoy them, right? What is it for God to have 16,000 wives? Anyway, this man was mundane, totally materialistic, and obviously a sense enjoyer. Such persons challenged like this become atheists or something. As they want to enjoy the energy of God, they want to get God out of the way. They're criminals. It's like criminals. They want to steal but not get punished. So Prabhupada answered, well, you say God, you think Bhagavan is God? Well, he's known as God. God, Bhagavan is God. But why does he do this? Does not everything belong to God? Is that not the quality of God? That he is the proprietor of everything? Can you say yes or no? We can say yes. Well, it's difficult. If you say no, then you really don't have an argument because he's not God anyway. So, Bhagavan, God, he owns everything. So, if he owns everything, that means he owns your wife. But you are thinking she's your wife. You are thinking you can enjoy with your wife. You are the debaucher, not Krishna. Everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. This is the illusion. We think it is for my pleasure. No matter what it is, this disease is there. We may also have an element of that disease. Think about it. Different lessons are being taught or reminded through these various pastimes. In the next verse we go on, text 4. If the Vrishnis come here when they learn that their son has been captured, we will break their pride. They're thinking the Vrishnis, the family of the Lord, of Samba, the Yadavas and so on, that they're very proud. They think they can do anything. They think they're the Lord of the universe or something. But we are the greatest. Another illusion. We have, out of our humility, out of our kindness, our lack of pride, have allowed them to be what they are, to rule a tract of land which really belongs to us. We're the real leaders. We're the real owners. But out of our humility, you can have. But now we have to teach them a lesson as to who the boss is around here. And this is a common feature of the world today. We're faced with this in our present, I guess we're still faced with it, out of touch with day-to-day affairs. But wars are going on based on similar principles, Similar principles of illusion. This is my land, our land. We'll teach you a lesson. Get out of our land. How dare you infringe upon our rights? We have no rights in this world. Everything's wrong. But we think we're right. And we are impelled by our pride, our lust, our greed, our envy, and anger, we respond to the world around us, pretty much in every affair. In the family, sometimes, many of you have seen, and you may not be at this moment with a family married and so on, but you may have seen in your family sometimes how it works. Anger becomes displayed over attachment, rightly or wrongly. So here we see the Kauravas are becoming angry, very angry. It's a very frustrating situation, we could say, for them. And they're thinking, we'll break the pride of the Yadavas, the Vrishnis. We'll teach them a lesson they deserve to learn. You hear this again and again. It may be gross, it may be subtle with somebody like Durvasa Muni. You know, he was very, very angry. It's the mode of ignorance. People are covered by the mode of ignorance. He was very angry with Ambarish Maharaj. Extremely angry. Ambarish was doing everything he could to respect Durvasa, but Durvasa was doing everything he could to disturb Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish? Was it Ambarish? Have I got the wrong name? Right name? And he decided he would teach him a lesson that he would never forget. But Durvasa had a lesson he never forgot. This is the result of this illusion of thinking, I am the greatest. How dare you offend me? In the case of Ambarish, he took a drop of water for a higher purpose with Shastric reference, but Durvasa Muni was offended to the hilt, and he produced out of a strand of his hair a fiery demon, so fierce, with the intention of killing Ambarish, not just punishing him, killing him. It's incredible how anger can destroy everything. Of course, the devotee is undisturbed. Can we imagine? Ambarish was feeling himself an offender, completely undisturbed in terms of his own reaction. He was disturbed that he'd upset Durvasa, but he defended him in his heart. He felt, I have offended. How Vaishnava responds. But the Lord protects such a surrendered soul, in his case, and taught Durvasa Muni and all of us a very big lesson. And the same thing, and a different example, different way going on here. The Kauravas are overwhelmed with anger here. How dare he do this? He's taken that which belongs to us. He's like a, I don't know, what's the example given? A jackal or something? A crow that has come and taken the sacrificial offering. He needs to be punished, and his whole family need to be taught a lesson. Who do they think they are? After saying this, oh no, they continued. Thus, if we break their pride, they'll become subdued, like bodily senses brought under strict control. They're thinking they should be under their control. Every one of us thinks like this, because with our senses, that's another thing. But with what's around us, we like to see everything works the way we want it to be. Everything in the world is a fallacy which we may also have sometimes. We think that by adjusting the circumstances around us, our desires will be fulfilled. Even as aspiring servants of devotees, we sometimes think like that. If I go to another temple, I'll be happy. If I change my husband or wife, I'll be happy. If I change my guru, I'll be happy. If I change my service, I'll be happy. If I change my clutter of my cloth, I'll be happy. I will put on saffron, then I'll be happy. Everyone will respect me. Maybe I should take sannyas, then I'll be happy. Maybe I should get married, then I'll be happy. Maybe I should join another mat, then I'll be happy. Whatever, always speculating. Externals, thinking the externals will satisfy us, they will not. Doesn't work like that. But generally speaking, that's the first recourse that we take when there's a challenge. We either defend ourselves, look for someone else to blame. It was the temple president's fault. Maybe you've heard that, Raj. Sometimes people blame you for things, huh? Ever heard that? Never. Okay, very good. He just doesn't hear it. Sometimes you have to become a little bit. Sometimes it's overwhelming. It's the GBC's fault. All over the internet you see the GBC, the GBC, the GBC. It's not me, it's the GBC. It's the guru issue. It's this issue, it's that issue. All this is illusion. Maybe have to be dealt with on one level, but it's missing the point, the real point, the real point. Why is it like that? Why are we seeing it like that? It's not even if it is like that. We're seeing it like that. Why? Because we're seeing ourselves in the center. We take Shastra and try to find Shastric statements or statements of some Acharya, God knows where, when, and how, who seem to have said something that agrees with what I think, and therefore we make that our policy. And we go on a campaign, we put it on the social media, and bang, it's all over the world. But who has gained anything? We certainly don't gain anything. We have to take responsibility. The situation we're in now, and what happens, is easy blame. You blame your parents. Oh, it's something that happened to me when I was a kid. Why did it happen to you when you were a kid? Because it's something you did before. You're born in that situation. Because that's your karma. And you're exposed to that various thing because that's what you have left over from the previous life. The cycle, of course, has to be changed by proper guidance, by proper system. But it's not that we blame the history for our problem. You have to look within. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj over and over again emphasized these points. So many times. Pry not into the frailties of others. Look within. Find our own faults when faults in others misguide and delude you. Look within. See what's going on in there. Our own faults. We're seeing it like that when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan in the first 67. And the disciple with him asked him, Srila Prabhupada, why is Vrindavan? It looks so dirty. Sometimes when devotees also, people come, they say, what is this? It's the Holy Land, but it's so dirty. There are broken buildings. There are monkeys everywhere, two-legged and four-legged. So much nonsense going on. Mundane people see, huh? You could say materially, it's like that. Thorn bushes everywhere. Where are the forests of Vrindavan? There's some thorn bushes. What is this? They come expecting to see, like Govardhan Echo Village or something. We just came from there. A little bit more like what probably people like to think of seeing when they go to Vrindavan after hearing all the, glories of the forests of Vrindavan and the pristine Yamuna River and Govardhan Hill, this mountain. They go with material eyes. What do they see? Can't even cross the road in front of the Krishna Balaram temple to get to the Limca store. They sell Limca anymore, don't know. crowds of cars and noises and dogs and monkeys and dust and loud noise and heat and, oh, I want to get out of here. And then you've got diarrhea before you get out. Or something, malaria or something. Hard for materialistic. Well, Prabhupada said, why you are seeing it like this? Why are you seeing it so dirty? Because your heart is dirty. You have a dirty heart, and Krishna's reciprocating, protecting, in a sense, the Dham from such dirty-minded persons, so they don't, doesn't attract them. The devotees are attracted because they're hearing from realized souls about the reality which we're not seeing. We can't see, but realized souls can, and they give us a little inkling of what it is. We become attracted. The Dham reciprocates by our surrender. But in general, no. We're seeing everything with ourselves in the center, and our conditioning is the dictating factor as to how we judge things. According to how I see it, how I feel it, how I taste it. Our senses, we think they're under our control, but we're completely controlled by them. Totally. And, it takes time. Even in our aspiring efforts, we're also controlled by our tongue, but at least, Prabhupada said, only prasadam. You control the tongue by only taking prasad, nothing else. You might be a little discriminatory as to what you like to eat and how much of what you eat. I don't know if you give them a chance around here or not. But, if there's choice between gulab jamuns and khichdi, you might choose khichdi, but you might choose gulabs or something like that. You may have a sweet tongue, as they say, and overwhelmed. I remember one time, the famous story, I've told it many times, but maybe not here. When I was a very first few days, maybe it was the first or second Sunday feast. Now, in the West, the Sunday feast was the highlight of the week. All week long, we would have like rice, dal, chapatis, rice, dal, chapatis, dal, rice, and chapatis, rice, dal, and chapatis, chapatis, rice, and dal, every day. 6 days. On Sunday was the feast, and the feast was always extraordinarily special. This week, a devotee named Jai Hari was cooking. He was a super cook, but he had one challenge, was he would never cook enough. At least because he cooked so well, it was never enough. And this week wasn't an exception to that rule. So I was at the end of the queue, and there was a devotee too in front of me who was really a prasadam addict. He was a prasadam bhakta for sure. And especially he loved gulab jamuns, samosas, and all the special preps, And I could see him getting extremely irritated. There was the amount of samosas. You could see the tray. The tray with the samosas on was very 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and there were like 3 people in front of him, 3 devotees. And he was getting really irritated. The gulabs were the same, and maybe the pua or some other preparation was getting really less, and he was getting really disturbed. And he was kind of shaking almost. Got to the front of the queue, and there was no gulabs, there was no samosas, there was no pakoras, there was nothing. It was just, sabji was there, rice was there. But that wasn't what he was thinking about. That wasn't what he was hankering for. And he became really disturbed. This is not fair, he said. Where's my gulab jamun? Where's my samosa? It's my samosa, my gulab. And the server said, Trinada pi sunichena. He didn't appreciate the answer. He said, I'll bet you saved one for yourself, haven't you? He said to the server. I was right behind him. I know both of them very well. One of them became a very great devotee, left their body in Mayapur eventually. And the server, it's the server who left his body in Mayapur, said, "Mind your own business." He said, "I bet you saved some for yourself, right? Mind your own business. Be humble." Well, he didn't respond very well to that. And the servers used to keep their plates behind them, and they would put a cardboard box over their plate, so you couldn't see what they saved. So he forced himself over the server's line and knocked the box off the plate. 4 samosas, 4 gulabs. "Give me one! Give me one!" "No!" "Yes!" Boom! Boom! All over the floor. They were rolling on the floor, punching each other. Same principle, huh? Mine. It's mine. How dare you take mine? We'll teach you a lesson if you don't submit. Anyway, it's a good introduction to pure devotional service. The enthusiasm to honor prasadam was extraordinary. Don't recommend you imitate this. We'll just quickly read the last verse in this section here with a little purport. After saying this and having their plan sanctioned by the senior member of the Kuru dynasty, Karna, Shala, Buri, Yagyaketu, and Suryodhana set out to attack Samba. We're going to get him. We're going to teach him a good lesson. In the purport, this is by disciples of Prabhupada who compiled this purport, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the elder of the Kurus mentioned here is Bhishma, who gave permission to the younger men as follows. Since the maiden has now been touched by Samba, she cannot take any other husband. He must become her husband. Nonetheless, you should arrest him and tie him up and make him a statement and tie him up to make a statement about his impropriety and our own prowess. This is strange, huh? Coming from Bhishma. But in no case should he be killed. The Acharya also adds that Bhishma accompanied the 5 warriors mentioned in this verse. Amazing how Bhishma, who's one of the Mahajans, great devotee of Krishna, is egging them on. Go for it. Punish him. I'll be with you, don't worry. Why is he doing this? Is he also an illusion? What do you think? Excuse me? He's doing it to protect the dynasty and rightful behavior, you could say, dharma, in one sense. Yes. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. Raj, he wanted to glorify Balaramji.
Where are we?
He wanted to show the prowess of Balaramji.
Take it away from your mouth a little bit. It's echoing.
They wanted to glorify Balaramji, their prowess.
Glorify who?
Balaram, Lord Balaram.
Lord Balaram. Very nice. He wanted to glorify Lord Balaram. Many other things. It's all part of the pure devotees of the Lord always play their part. Now it's interesting, in a sense, even Duryodhana. Now, and this involves Duryodhana as being the father of Lakshmana, who was the primary one who was disturbed. He's also, Prabhupada says, in a conversation, playing his part. It's not just the Kauravas or Bhishma or anyone come to that. They're playing their part. Whether they know or don't know, they're playing. Everything has a part to play. Nothing is happening by chance. There's a lesson to be learned in everything, and sometimes the devotees it's like a drama. In a drama, a devotee may take the role of Hiranyakashipu. Actually, devotees usually are very good at playing the role of Hiranyakashipu. Ravana, very good at it. Arjuna took the part of an illusion living entity on the battle of Kurukshetra. Happens in many cases, they take the part. For the sake of the Lord, or the pastimes of the Lord, or his devotees, benefit of others, so we can learn lessons. We have pastimes to hear, and so on and so forth. The devotees take various roles in the Lord's pastime. When Prabhupada was asked this question, why is it that Lord Balaram was so favorably disposed towards Duryodhana? It was weird. Everyone knows that Duryodhana is like a partial expansion of Kali, practically speaking. He's got practically bringing in Kali into this age. Why is Balaram so affectionate towards him? He seems to side with him, whether it was the marriage of Subhadra or even in this case, Balaram, we'll see, he intervenes so that a big war didn't take place. No, I will negotiate, don't worry. I will make sure this doesn't escalate. He had an affection towards Duryodhana. On the battle of Kurukshetra, Balaram didn't want to take part. He went away, and he was very disturbed when he saw how Duryodhana was, you could say, killed. Why? Prabhupada answered it. You can read it or hear it. Conversation with Hari Suri. Prabhupada said, because Duryodhana is the eternal servant of Balaram. He's one of his eternal servants, playing a part in this scene. So they're playing parts, and they have to act according to their part. You might be a great personality, but if you're a demon in the drama, you have to behave like a demon. And you have to forget. The Lord causes his devotees to forget their actual position, and they act just in a contrary way. Or in this particular case, a completely self-centered, angry response is coming. And of course, Balaram's glories are to be seen when he comes, and how he deals with this situation and humiliates, you could say, or humbles the Kauravas to establish Krishna and his dynasty for what they are. Anyway, it's a wonderful pastime. Did we finish? Yes, we did. So to establish elements of Dharma and to glorify Lord Balaram and to bring down the pride of the Kauravas, to enact a wonderful pastime to teach us numerous lessons in our own, let's say, faulty response, our own faulty perception, etc. Particular pastime is unwinding here. And the greatness of his devotees, even Samba, the son of Krishna and Jambavati, is not an ordinary person. He's very courageous. He wasn't afraid. Even though he was a spoiled son, he was still very courageous, powerful. Of course, Kartikeya, the progeny, Lord Shiva and Parvati, is an expansion of Samba. He has that same spirit of Kartikeya, who was also very, you could say, in some ways, very spoiled in many ways by his mother. But he has that same propensity, this warrior propensity. And he was able to practically combat all these great warriors. He could have done, but it was part of the pastime. It wasn't to happen. Extremely powerful in warfare. Many things. Okay, well, it's time to finish. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Can I ask a question, Maharaj? Thank you very much, Maharaj, for from this pastime teaching us many lessons, how not to be proud and how a devotee become attached when things are given to them. My question is, Maharaj, that when responsibilities are given to us, how we determine I am responding to a situation, whether it is out of pride or it is the need of the service.
Can you speak without the mic? Come up close. Then I'll speak it out.
Responsibility is given to us.
Yeah.
We are responsible for something.
Yeah.
To respond to a certain situation. Whether it is out of pride I am responding or it is the need of the service I have to do like this. How I can recommend this.
A very relevant question. What is your name, Prabhu? Vishnu Tattva Prabhu is asking a question that if you have a responsibility, which we all have to a certain extent, but if you have a specific responsibility, maybe in management or guidance or something, and there's a situation you have to respond to, you may have to sometimes appear to respond in a strong way or maybe misunderstood way sometimes. Is it out of pride or is it a proper behavior? Is that right, on those lines? Well, that's not a black and white answer to that, is it? It depends upon the consciousness or the motive which we have behind our response. And is it because of, like a parent may chastise the child for the benefit of the child, with that's their intention. It should be. The intention of the parent is to benefit the child, not to simply punish the child because I'm angry and you're getting in the way of my sense gratification, which unfortunately happens. Sometimes the parents are ignoring the child and the child cries. The parents are busy on, doing something at home, which they shouldn't be doing at home. And the child needs attention, and the parents are, or maybe not both, but one of them becomes very angry and disturbed. You're getting in the way of my watching something or another or doing something. And they smack the child or scream at the child. That's out of pride. That's out of expansion of pride, out of one's own, illusion, one's own. One becomes angry because we think that, even my children are there for my pleasure. I'm not here to serve them. They're here to satisfy me. So if that's the mentality, that's really bad. And if that's their mentality, that I'm the boss and everyone around here should do what I say or get out, and I'll give them the sauce if they don't listen to what I say, that's not good at all. Even if one is a guru, I was reading this morning, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj discussing relationships with disciples. He never saw himself as guru. He saw all of his disciples as his guru. That I am their servant. My business is to serve these devotees. Prabhupada said the same thing one time. He was asked, are you the spiritual master? He said, I'm not the spiritual master of anyone. I'm trying to be the servant of these devotees. They are qualified. I'm not qualified. This is the actual mentality. If it's in the mentality of service and compassion, then it's a totally different thing to thinking that I'm the boss here, I'm in control, you do what I say or buzz off. That's a different thing altogether. We're doing everything we can to try to help a devotee to become Krishna conscious. Now, how do we know that that's correct, what we're doing? We may not be correct there either, in a sense, but the intention is correct, therefore we're correct. And how do we understand a little bit more how that can be correct? We inquire. We inquire. We're open to be corrected. One who's actually in a mood of service is always open to be corrected. He's eager to listen to being corrected or chastised, call it what you will. They're open. They're not going to run around defending themselves, but. That means we're blocked by our own, whatever, limited perception of the situation. So we inquire. We should be working under authority. The whole process ultimately is under Krishna's authority, Radharani's authority. Through the parampara, through our spiritual masters, we work under their direction. And we'll be Krishna, if we see that we're trying to be sincere in our intentions, in our service, and not proud, now I'm a Brahmin, now I'm better than you. That's not the mood of a Brahmin. It means that we have more responsibility to serve the other devotees, literally to serve them. Or we have a position of responsibility in the temple. It means we've been gifted with the privilege of being able to serve the other devotees or the guests or whatever it is. To serve. How to facilitate, how to help them become Krishna conscious. If they're having some difficulty externally, also how to help them with their external difficulties. Maybe they're sick, or maybe they need something, or they're whatever it is. How to help them if we can, or to guide them towards that help. The mood of service. If the mood is service, then it's good. If the mood is control, it's not good. We can use that mood, but we can use the position, but in the mood of service. It has to be in that mood of service of the servant. I am here to serve. Look, Bhaktisiddhanta also Dasosmi, he'd always say, I am your servant. And his heaviness in chastising was only out of concern. That I have no hatred, only love for everyone. But they're not listening. So what can I, his anger, what was perceived as anger, was a form of love for the conditioned soul. So it depends on our attitude in our service. And that's the real factor. Krishna places us in situations of responsibility, not just because it has to be done, but there's some change in our heart which is often required. If one is very qualified, of course, he may also place. But he sometimes places, mostly places, we're not qualified, become qualified. And that qualification is not just learning how to do it, that's one aspect, but the attitude in which we serve. That's the important change which needs to take place. You don't go back to Godhead by being an expert manager or by being an expert book distributor. You go back by the attitude. There are many expert book distributors in the world, expert cooks. Krishna is looking at our attitude in our service, and that's what situations which we find ourselves in are mainly to adjust or to help us to adjust our perception, our attitude towards Krishna and towards Krishna's energies. Is that okay? Another one or an extension of the same one? Okay, follow them. There's two ways suggested here to deal with it if we recognize it. Now, the first thing is to recognize that we do perhaps have an attitude of, I'm the boss, I'm the controller, la la la. Even to recognize that, that's a pretty good start. Not everybody recognizes that. They get offended when that's mentioned. Or they become defensive or just don't hear it. I remember one time I was in one temple, and one devotee, very senior to the temple president, wasn't in the temple, they were somewhere else. They asked through me because they knew I knew the temple president. So they said, they wanted to open up a preaching center in that city. Very, very qualified preacher. Very good devotee. And they said, can you ask the temple president if it's okay if I can come there and start a preaching center in that city? It was a big city, not quite as big as Bombay. There was only one temple, small temple, and not many devotees, maybe 10 devotees in the temple. So I asked the temple president, and I said, is it okay, devotee Prabhupada disciple, seasoned preacher, was the biggest book distributor in the world at one point of time, can he come here and open a center? Temple president said, no problem, as long as he does exactly what I tell him to. In other words, he's under me, I tell him what to do. So I told that to the devotee, he changed his mind and went somewhere else. So this mentality, I am the controller, I am the owner. We're here to serve, we're not here to control. So what do we do about it if there's some glimmer of this? And usually you can feel it if it is, let's be honest. Those who are really in the mode of, passion and ignorance may not think there's anything unusual about that feeling. But those who are, you feel bad afterwards. You feel real bad. That devotee becomes upset. Maybe they go away. Maybe they become depressed or whatever it is. It's not what's meant to happen. They're meant to lift the devotee up, encourage the devotee, help them to understand things for what they are. But if you see the other thing happening, and even if you were right, still you feel you're wrong, that the devotee's gone away, or if that type of feeling is coming, and that does happen. It happened with Prabhupada. Devotees will go away sometimes. Prabhupada said the moon is further away than the sun, and is bigger than the sun. I mean, many devotees went away just because of that, what to speak of other things. What do you do? Prabhupada felt very bad about it. He would cry sometimes. Well, in that type of feeling there, what have I done to hurt you? Why have you done this? We heard that the other day from Shruti Kirti Prabhu, how Prabhupada was asking, what did I do to hurt you that you went away? Please tell me. The pure devotee or an aspiring devotee feels like that. If that type of feeling is there, you're really on the right path. It's not exactly a mechanical thing that you learn how to say it properly and you've still got the same attitude. That you may do also. You may learn how to say things nicely so that it doesn't offend or have a backfiring effect. But even that's not the answer. There are courses for that. There are ways of controlling your anger and so on. But the potentiality or the fault is still there in our hearts. The heart has to be changed. Our understanding, our perception needs to change. So what do we do? How do we change that? We've come to a good point. We're repenting. We're feeling awful. It's called anatapa. You're feeling this like a fever in your heart. You're feeling pained almost by it. You don't know what to do. We can see the example, perhaps a little different situation, but Jagai Madai, how Madai responded to the situation, etc. But there's a little different to this, but you can see the different ways it could be approached. Who can suggest a good thing to do? If you're in that situation, you recognize it. Of course, ultimately, Krishna will teach the lesson. If you don't recognize it, it'll teach a pretty heavy lesson. It'll smash you out. It'll hit you for 6. You'll fly off the pitch. Big as you may be, you'll be hit off the pitch. Like a cricketer hits the ball for 6, it goes off the pitch, right? Out the stadium or something. We don't want that. We want to stay. We want to stay in the family. We want to stay in the, program. So what do you suggest we do? And to some degree, we've all got it. It may not be manifest because we're not really taking that much responsibility. But the tendency to respond like that is there within all of us. So what to do? What are you going to do? Carry on? One of those things, that's my nature. What can I do? Sorry, Prabhu, it's my nature. Bang. Sorry, Prabhu, it's my nature. Bang. Is there anything we can do about that? Is it really our nature? It might be our conditioned nature. Then maybe we shouldn't be in a position like that if that's the way we think. But that's another thing. But we don't want that to be the answer, do we? We want to change. Do we want to change our heart or not? We want to keep it the way it was, or still is to some degree, like everyone else in the material world. Mode of goodness, some people, but that's not also what we want. Being a goody-goody, everyone's nice man, giving charity, which money it doesn't belong to you. You're still in ignorance, ignorant of the real nature of the self. So what can we do? Obviously, we're acting on a conditioned level. Obviously, we're acting on a mental and physical platform. Okay, we've accepted that. But what are we going to do about it? You're just going to carry on or give up? What are you going to do? Carry on. Okay, but you can't carry on in the same way. What are you going to do? Suggestions, please. Come on. Intelligent young men. Oh, they're all bowing their heads to the ground now and walking out. That's one thing you can do. You can walk away. Bow down, then think humble. And stay down like that. We've had devotees do that before. When anyone asks to do service, they grab their Brahmin thread. They know the temple commander's come, so quickly grab the thread and hold it. Test of your patience between the temple commander and you, how long you can hold your thread, how long they can stand there asking you to do service. And eventually the commander goes away and you throw your thread down. No, what can you do? Come on, give an answer. You're an intelligent young man. Hold on, you're going to come and tell me what the answer is.
Can serve the Vaishnavas.
Okay. Well, again, serving the Vaishnavas has to be with favorable attitude. I mean, if you've got to find out what is a favorable. Why don't you inquire from somebody? It's a personal thing. But it's a personal thing. I don't know exactly the problem. I'm not going to get into details. This is a general assembly. You ask, what can I do about this? If your inquiry is sincere, Krishna will help. We have to recognize it. I've got this tendency. What can I do about it? You may not be able to declare it in public. You may be understandably. It's not the thing to do nowadays. It's not a very merciful society, and people don't understand. You reveal your mind in confidence to someone you trust and pray for their help to try to deal with the situation. That's one thing you can do. What else? Yeah, but that might be concocted according to your own conditioning. If you're going to do that, then you have to inquire from somebody who knows. Don't just do it. If you think by performing some austerity that will help, it might do. But then you have to inquire from your spiritual leader, whoever your guide is, your Siksha guru, whatever. Because oftentimes these are concoctions, imitations, and based on pride also, or based on dependency, thinking that this will make it happen, and because I did this, therefore I'm good now. And many devotees thought like that with chanting more rounds, for instance. It doesn't. Sometimes you become even more proud when you do these things. More proud. I've seen this many times with devotees who take courses, especially Bhakti Shastri. You've got to be very careful. I used to teach Bhakti Shastri and I saw it. It's very often the case. Prabhu, they go back to the temple. Look, Prabhu, I have taken the Bhakti Shastri. What do you know? Already they had a problem. The problem is being magnified like a snake with a jewel in its head. Listen to me, Prabhu. I'm a Brahmin. I've taken Bhakti Vaibhav. You're only a Bhakti Shastri. You're nobody. It can be misused also. If that's their disease. So, what austerities are you doing? What do you know? Who are you to think, I'm chanting 64 rounds a day? Who are you to question me? Pride can be very powerful, overwhelming. But be careful. So, could be, but you've got to make sure it's the right thing to do. Don't just do it because someone else did it. Or you read that it's to be done for this thing. It may not be appropriate for you. It may have been appropriate for them or somewhere else. What else can we do? I'm sure there's something else we can do. Not getting too far here. Serve the devotees, but whether or not that be appreciated, they may be a little hesitant, a little fearful. What's he got on his mind now? He's trying to, trick us or something. What else can we do? Yes. We can? The psychiatrist. Okay. That's a practical answer. It's that bad. We can get counseling, and that's a common thing nowadays. I don't know about in India. And practically to some degree, of course, everyone has counseling. I mean, we don't call it counseling, but we take, advice and guidance from those who are more qualified. So it's similar follow-on to revealing one's mind in confidence. It's a follow-on. It may be more down to earth. If you've actually, if you're what do they call it? Psychopath? Psychopath. You're psychopathic. And in the world today, and the fact of the matter is, many of the world's leaders are psychopaths. They see themselves as always right. They cannot. They say the hardest thing for a politician to do is to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. That's the one sentence they'll never say. I'm sorry, I was wrong. They're psychopaths. They always think they're right. And they do everything they can to justify their right. They don't even talk about that. They just talk about the faults of the others all the time. This is a symptom of a psychopath. They're completely self-centered. What's that other word? What's that famous Greek guy who was, what is the word named after his name? What was it? They're a very self-centered person, always seeing themselves as the enjoyer. What's it called? Huh? Narcissist. Thank you. Narcissistic. Very narcissistic. And everything's based on that, you know. So that's when, if you have that conditioning, it's hard. One of the symptoms of a psychopath or a sociopath is they don't believe it. They don't recognize it in the first place. It's a little difficult one sometimes. But yes, if we do, then you can do something even down to earth like that. We said try to change one's approach in that way. But anything else on a higher level or a more deeper inner level? Let's go to the creation of the universe. When Lord Brahma was basically asked to to put into place the various elements to create what we see, the form of the universe, what did he do first? Exactly. He humbly prayed to the Lord to please protect him from becoming overwhelmed with pride. This is very important. The instant when, I don't know if it's on the wall by one of these beautiful, whatever you call them, not dioramas exactly, what do you call them, I don't know, but these beautiful things on the wall of the pastime of Lord Chaitanya delivering the leper Vasudeva. Vasudeva, what did Vasudeva ask after deliverance from his leprosy? What did he ask from the Lord? Please, my Lord. He was so afraid that people would start praising him and he might become proud. And he prayed to the Lord to please that not happen. And the Lord, what did the Lord say? What did Mahaprabhu say to him? Very good. He said, you constantly chant the holy name. Of course, we try to do that under the direction of authority. Constantly chant the holy name. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj himself said that this change takes place by the reform. The reform is not an external thing, it's internal. That the internal change that's required is evoked by exposing ourselves. Now that does require a little bit of trinadapi sinicena. That acceptance that I'm wrong, that I'm an offender. At least that much should be there. Or at least I may be wrong. I may not have concluded. And we try to open our hearts humbly, without, demand. Sometimes we expect something from God, demanding that if not, then I give up. But in a humble heart, a respectful heart, to the holy name, expose oneself, one's heart to the holy name of Krishna. With that attitude, Krishna, out of compassion, Radharani, out of compassion, will purify our hearts of all these, whatever there is there, whatever dirt, deep down dirt is there. You can read the pastime of the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, that deep cleaning of our consciousness. You can pray intently please save me from this, you know. You can read the prayers of Raghunath Das in Manashiksha. Read statements of great devotees on this topic. There are quite a few, Priyavrata, many who are in this humble frame of, you know, realizing it's not within our power to overcome these powerful forces due to our material conditioning and material contact. Powerful. Lust and greed and anger and envy and pride and so on. Very powerful forces. We read and hear about, and sometimes the devotees place themselves in the same position that we may be in order to show this, how to move forward. Look at the Lord Brahma, I mean, very vivid. He's the founder of our disciplic succession, basically. Brahma Sampradaya. But he became, of course there are other aspects of looking at that if you read the commentaries, but he became overwhelmed with pride, thinking, I'm great, I'm you know, who is this coward boy? Who do they think they are? Indra, who do they think they are? Maybe in his case there was certainly inborn pride, but even if there wasn't, it was all part of a pastime to illustrate the result of becoming proud, or being proud, and the way to deal with it, or the way it's dealt with. Submission. Acceptance, submission, admittance. Admittance is a difficult one, isn't it? To admit is very difficult. But if we want admittance into the spiritual realm, there has to be an admittance in this regards also. What else can we do? That's quite a bit. Study the Shastra, particularly pertaining to the various aspects which you perceive. Inquire submissively from your mentors, authorities, how to proceed. Pray intently. Expose ourselves to the holy name. Try to serve menially the devotees. That's quite a lot. Go to the psychiatrist. Mayapur, he left. Didn't go, did he? Sometimes we do. I know once initiating spiritual master, a friend of mine, told me that about 70 to 80% of his disciples, he sends them to counseling, to get counseling, because people are so traumatized. You haven't grown up in a normal way. You've grown up with modern social media, which is ruining the consciousness of the living entity. It is Kali's main weapon right now, is social media. Of course, we can use that to try to counter it, but it's very pervasive. The whole world is addicted, controlled by social media practically. Simple control. Very powerful weapon. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But that's the truth. Especially in India. The culture, the attitude of respect, the thoughts, even the thoughts that a person has, are being completely hijacked by social media. Full of, what can we say? You know better than I what it's full of. Not just that, but it wastes your time. Total waste of time. You become like a zombie. A zombie. Conditioned by what comes in front of you on this thing. They have whole movements talking about this. Zombie. You go in, I don't know, maybe it's different here. In the West, you go into a subway, metro. Everyone is on their mobile. The whole carriage is on there. Old ladies, young kids, Everyone on their mobile with hardly any exception. Isn't it? You cannot get their attention. They don't want to listen to you. They're on their mobile. What to do? We have to counter this with Sankirtan. You have to enter in. This is the process which Lord Chaitanya has brought to the world. Dancing and chanting. If you really want to irk it out of your system, let go. Don't be a statue. Don't be proud. Absorb yourself in Sankirtan. Loud chanting of the holy name in Sankirtan. This is the only solution ultimately in terms of general solution. Details will be there, but general solution Lord Chaitanya has given is congregational chanting of the holy name. There needs to be more congregational chanting of the holy name. Everywhere. This is the only thing which will counteract all these anomalies of this age, particularly every age, but prominent in this age. Loud Sankirtan. Does that make sense? And that includes mass book distribution. They go well together, as our acharyas have said. Perfect match. Loud Sankirtan and distributing this knowledge. Does it make sense or not? Not sure. If you do it, you'll experience it. There will be an element there of discrimination also. I don't like this kirtan, or I don't like this kirtanier. I should be leading. They come in with their jumbe. I don't know if you still... Last time I went on Harinam here, I was a little bit disturbed because there were so many jumbes on the Harinam. I didn't like it at all. Lord Chaitanya introduced Madunga. He didn't introduce jumbe. If there is a jumbe, it should serve the Madunga, not control it. It should never override the Madunga. Never. Never, ever, ever. If it is there like any other instrument, it should not be in the sense of, here I am, listen to me. The same principle as a devotee. The jumbe is Lord Balaram. He's the Adi Guru. He has to serve the Guru, not control it. Madunga, kartal. And if other instruments are there, they have to serve it. Otherwise, what is it? It's a display. And oftentimes when you ask the devotees, please Prabhu, can you stop playing the jumbe? They just leave the kirtan. They get upset and leave. That means they're not in the kirtan in the first place. They're in their head. They're not in the kirtan. But loud, giving our heart, absorbing ourselves in the kirtan. Not that we're there, we may be enjoying it. That's natural in a conditioned state. But the ultimate purpose of the kirtan is we're trying to please Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We're trying to be assistants for his will. And beyond that, there's a lot more. But at our stage, at least that much we can focus on. Srila Prabhupada was here now, would we do it? Would he be happy? He's the eye of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, would he be happy? That's the question you ask. That's another way of dealing with these issues. You see it in the light of the pure devotee. Would I do this if Srila Prabhupada was, or my Guru Maharaj was standing right next to me? Would I scream at this devotee? Would I tell this devotee, go away? Would I do that? Would I serve the devotee like this if Prabhupada were right in front of me? Would I speak like this? Would I chant like this? This is how we see things from the transcendental platform. Okay, we have to finish now. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaura Premanandi.
SriRadhaRasbihariTemple.